Hi again. So welcome to the last question of my application in the IE Executive MBA Programme. So the last question: what do you believe are the greatest challenges facing the sector or industry you would like to specialize at IE? What role do you hope to be able to play in the sector and the industry in the medium term? That's an amazing question as well. So basically, I'm working in the pharmaceutical industry, and this is where I would like to continue my career. And I find it really more challenging than any other industry. Because when you work in the IT technology or the Google, there is no restrictions there is no restriction of the creativity or the innovations. But the pharmaceuticals, there are a lot of huge penalties. I can tell you that more than 15 billion USD dollars in the past 10 years of the pharmaceutical companies due to doing incorrect behavior. Some of them were digital. For example, one of the challenges in this industry, one of the top 5 pharmaceutical industry, they develop mobile application and where the people can share the social media, the positive effects of the product, and they get penalty by the SFDA and warning letter by the FDA, by the warning letter, because they didn't share the adverse events. While the positive, the origin of that idea is to share the social media, but you share the pros and cons. The challenge in this industry that everyone really afraid of going aggressively into the multi-channel marketing or the digital behavior. And that's really math, because the combination of online and offline is amazing. But when we go into the digital initiatives, everyone is afraid of that. There are a lot of restrictions on the digital initiatives, and I do have experience about that. I love the challenge. I love to challenge the status quo, where I can see the standard operating procedures, seeing the SOPs, and working with the legal, regulatories, and a lot of cross functions together to ensure that these projects will work. So it's really challenging in the pharmaceutical industry that after 2 years from now, one of the top 2, we will see that now one of the 3 giant pharmaceutical companies decided to stop the investments at the international congresses. Well, the first one GSK, the second one the Novartis Pharmaceutical, and AstraZeneca. This is happening in the upcoming 2 years. And one of these is challenging that healthcare providers needed to learn about the international cross-functional knowledge and getting a lot of connections and networking with the healthcare providers across the globe. This is really challenging because when we stop these investments, the healthcare providers might think that we are doing not right behavior. So the solution of that, of how can we bring these international congresses to the countries where we are operates, and that's happening with the digital media. That's not easy because you get used to go in international congresses, and you will not accept that easy. So I shared with you right now of the challenges that's happening in the pharmaceutical industry of going into the digital initiatives and digital engagements, and that might not click with all of the healthcare providers. The penalties that's happening in the past 10 years and what's expecting in the upcoming challenges in the pharmaceutical industry. The third part of that video of why I feel that I'm competent for it. I'm going to tell you 4 or 5 examples of the digital initiatives and how I went amazing on that. So in the past 2 years, I developed a mobile application and mobile game. Mobile application was targeting the patient, and the game was targeting the HCP, doctors, the healthcare providers. The mobile application for patients were helping them in the diagnosis. So once we decided that we release that application that's not branded, it's only about diagnosis. It was targeting the guidance of understanding the allergic rhinitis burden and the nose burden. So in going into that crazy way, we decided to launch that internally within the company, and I used the augmented reality techniques, and I used the augmented reality techniques where I was presenting the idea, and we recorded video clip inside the company, not for the HCPs, where we are imitating and simulating the diagnosis of allergic rhinitis of that mobile application, and launching the application into the product specialist and the medical representative and the company inside. And we sent teaser the first, and then we conducted augmented reality where I'm saying a poem. I was saying once upon a time in a land far away. There is a special game I love to play where I was saying these words. There are a lot of things that was showing on the digital screens with augmented reality. So we were using the digital behavior and convincing that gonna to work internally with the field force, so they believe that's gonna to work with HCPs. And then we develop the teasers with more respectful way, with more amazing and innovative way of having the nose of mobile applications, of how to improve the diagnosis, and we launched that. And it was very successful. The second part of that, the game, mobile application game. I was developing a product, two products to help for the diagnosis and treatment of allergic rhinitis. And that product was having a superior data versus a competitor. So I found that the coverage of more than inflammatory mediator is amazing. So I developed mobile application for doctors where you combine the two guns of two molecules or the two products together of the company that I worked for, and like bazooka, where you are targeting the inflammatory mediators and you are killing them. And it was amazing, and it helped a lot with HCPs. I tested the idea and they found it very cool. The internal field force, they found that the idea works. And before that, I was knowing who are the HCPs, who are techno-savvy, that I was presenting in the previous video. And I tested the idea of the complete bazooka, of having the colors and the branding identity, the branding colors and the positioning the way of the combined forces of the two products to treat the allergic rhinitis. And we're putting certain situations where the patients having special trigger of allergic rhinitis in different phases. And in that trigger, we were drawing the pictures and the video introduction where the HCP can understand that this is the trigger and this is the inflammatory mediators, and whereas you have the options of killing that inflammatory mediator by the one of these two products. It was fun, it was simple, and it clicked a lot. It was hilarious in terms of the engagement. And these are the two initiatives that I was doing in the previous employer. Now moving forward into my current employer, where in the past 4 months I won a digital marketing, global marketing best practice on a first place winner, the Sabals program, where I developed a lot of ideas that went crazy with the field force. So let's start saying about one of these ideas. One of these ideas, in the past 3 months, I was developing a Kinect-based Xbox game on my product. I was launching a new campaign. And that new campaign, the exhibition area, where you can see only the name of the campaign. There is no name of the company. It's not available there. I was doing only the name of the campaign, and it was available for healthcare providers only. They were coming into the booth area, seeing digital screens where the product specialists were presenting data on that digital screens, and then going into the Kinect-based game, where they collect the letters of that game in less than 60 seconds. They were interactive on the Xbox, and you will see that hilarious because it was challenging in the timelines, and I got the approval on that with the HCPs. I guaranteed the security where you have only physical playing of that on the Xbox. There is no digital sharing on that experience. That was the first part. That went very well. We have a lot of hilarious feedback from the healthcare providers, and they loved the game. It was simple, it was fancy, and there was a lot of fun out there because they were collecting the letters in the Xbox, and it was not an easy job. Even all of the pharmaceutical companies from other companies, they were coming, their representative, they were coming to our booth area to play the game, and it was hilarious. Now moving forward into the mobile applications development, where we're in the past 2 weeks, I was developing virtual promoter about the product, where they present the data like virtual rep promoter, where they were presenting the data of my product that I'm responsible for it in front of the HCPs. And actually, one of the feedback that happened that while I was inside a meeting, I was hear someone was screaming outside, screaming. So we went outside and we found out that HCP was screaming and saying, "Wow, that's amazing! We're seeing this for the first time. Please go forward and continue." So basically, I was sharing with you 4 or 5 digital initiatives. It's not easy to go for digital initiatives, but it's very difficult for the social media and the securities, and to ensure there is no bugs, there is no penalties will happen from the patients and from the local authorities, which is very, very restricted and challenging. And I know about that. I know the situation very well of how can I guarantee the security of each mobile application development of each digital initiatives, how I can guarantee that, how ensure the opt-in option in the email marketing campaign, of how can optimize the digital content on the mobiles or the desktops or the webcasting events. I had passed with a lot of experience, and I'm willing to learn more and more with my colleagues in IE Business School, where we can share experiences and a challenge the status quo as well. So this is answering the second question. I see that the pharmaceutical industry is evolving toward the digital. There is a lot of huge restrictions out there. We cannot treat it like what's happening outside, but we are not back off. Me, myself, as being part of the IE Business School, I'm not gonna to step back on the digital initiatives. I'm crazy, I'm digital crazy, I'm digital savvy, and I like to take the status quo to the next level and to where the innovation is out there in the pharmaceutical industry, and I'm pretty sure that the experience that I'm going to get in the IE Business School is going to boost it forward. Well, thanks a lot for listening and for staying in this video. I would love to be part of this program and to continue forward. Thanks. Bye.